drama panas mengguncang jantung ekonomi global. Presiden Donald Trump secara terbuka mengancam akan memecat Ketua The Fed Jerome Powell jika tidak mundur tepat waktu. Pernyataan ini langsung memicu kekhawatiran pasar, mengingat posisi The Fed sangat krusial dalam menentukan arah ekonomi dunia. Di tengah situasi ini, Trump telah menyiapkan Kevin Warsh sebagai calon pengganti. Namun proses konfirmasi di Senat berpotensi molor, sementara Powell justru bersikeras akan tetap menjabat hingga penggantinya resmi disahkan. Konflik ini semakin kompleks karena Powell juga masih memiliki sisa masa jabatan sebagai gubernur selama 2 tahun ke depan. Tak hanya soal jabatan, tekanan terhadap Powell juga datang dari penyelidikan hukum terkait proyek besar di Bank Sentral, yang menambah panas situasi. Di sisi lain, kritik Trump soal kebijakan suku bunga yang dianggap kurang agresif semakin memperuncing konflik. Pertanyaannya kini, apakah ini sekadar manuver politik, atau awal dari guncangan besar di sistem keuangan global? Ketegangan kembali memuncak. Presiden Donald Trump menyatakan enggan memperpanjang gencatan senjata antara Amerika Serikat dan Iran yang akan berakhir pekan depan. Pernyataan ini langsung memicu kekhawatiran global, di tengah konflik yang belum benar-benar mereda dan situasi kawasan yang semakin tidak pasti. Di sisi lain, harapan damai belum sepenuhnya hilang. Sejumlah laporan menyebutkan potensi lanjutan pembicaraan di Pakistan, meski perundingan pertama sebelumnya berakhir buntu tanpa kesepakatan. Kedua pihak tetap kukuh pada tuntutan masing-masing, membuat jalan menuju perdamaian masih penuh ketidakpastian. Menariknya, Trump justru memberi sinyal misterius dengan menyebut 2 hari ke depan akan luar biasa. Apakah ini pertanda berakhirnya konflik, atau justru awal eskalasi yang lebih besar? Dengan perang yang telah berlangsung sekitar 6 minggu sejak serangan ke Teheran, dunia kini menanti, kemana arah krisis ini akan bergerak.
אני כל הזמן אומר לכם שאנחנו קודשים את משטר הטרור באיראן. אבל אנחנו עושים זאת ביתר שאת ובעוצמה הולכת וגוברת. אתמול הטייסים שלנו השמידו מטוסי תובלה ועשרות מסוקים בבסיס של חיל האוויר של איראן. היום הם תקפו את מסילות הברזל והקשרים שמשמשים את משמרות המהפכה. הם משתמשים בהם להעביר חומר גלם לנשק, כלי נשק, ואת הפעילים שתוקפים אותנו, את ארצות הברית וגם את מדינות האזור, ואותם פעילים שגם מדכאים את העם האיראני. וזו הנקודה המרכזית. הפעולות הללו, שאני אישרתי יחד עם שר הביטחון, אינן נועדו לתקוף את העם האיראני. להפך, הם נועדו להחליש ולקטוש את משטר האימים שמדכא אותם מזה 47 שנים. זה כבר לא אותה איראן, זה גם לא אותה ישראל, אנחנו משנים את מאזן הכוח מן הקצה אל הקצה.
The indiscriminate attack upon countries who never sought this conflict, the huge damage done across the Gulf to civilian infrastructure with civilian casualties is abhorrent. It has clearly shocked the region and all of us, and we must bear that in mind now as we lift our sights to the future. Because whilst the ceasefire between the US, Israel and Iran is undeniably welcome, it is also highly fragile. The region remains on edge, and a lot of work is required to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, to de-escalate the situation, leading to a sustainable ceasefire. In pursuit of that goal, we call for Lebanon to be included urgently in the ceasefire. Diplomacy is the right path, and I welcome the talks taking place this week. Hezbollah must disarm, but I'm equally clear Israel's strikes are wrong. They are having devastating humanitarian consequences and pushing Lebanon into a crisis. The bombing should stop now. Mr. Speaker, we also put on record our thanks to Pakistan and other partners for playing such an important role in diplomatic efforts. We hope the process will continue without further escalation, and that applies to the running sore that is the Strait of Hormuz, shamefully exploited by Iran. All of the leaders that I met were crystal clear that freedom of navigation is vital and must be restored. No conditions, no tolls, and no tolerance of Iran holding the world's economy to ransom. Because, Mr. Speaker, the impact of Iran's behaviour in the Strait is causing untold economic damage. It's visible on every petrol forecourt in the country. And, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm today that together with President Macron, I will convene a summit of leaders this week to drive forward the international effort we have built in recent weeks, bringing together dozens of countries to ensure freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. The summit will be focused on two things. First, diplomatic efforts to bring pressure to bear for a negotiated end to the conflict and for the Strait to be opened. Second, military planning to provide assurance to shipping as soon as a stable environment can be established. And let me be very clear, this is about safeguarding shipping and supporting freedom of navigation once the conflict ends. Our shared aim here is a coordinated, independent, multinational plan. So this time Britain's response must and will be different to reflect the changing world that we live in. That starts with our economic security, where during this conflict alone we've capped energy bills, raised the living wage, strengthened workers' rights and ended the two-child limit that will lift nearly 500,000 children out of poverty. But, Mr. Speaker, looking forward, it also means a closer economic relationship with our European allies, because Brexit did deep damage to the economy. And the opportunities we now have to strengthen our security and cut the cost of living are simply too big to ignore. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we must strengthen our defence security. That means boosting our armed forces, as we have, with the biggest sustained investment since the Cold War. It means doubling down on the most successful military alliance the world has ever seen, the NATO alliance, of which this party in government was a founding member. But it also means strengthening the European element of that alliance, taking control of our continent's defence more robustly, deepening our partnerships. The Strait of Hormuz is a choke point for oil and gas getting to the international market. That's pushed the price up. That's being reflected in every household. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, the only way to take control of our energy bills is to go faster on energy independence. A threat to Iranian civilians in that way is wrong. These are civilians, let's remember, who've suffered immeasurable harm by the regime in Iran for many, many long years. And that's why they're words and phrases that I would never use on behalf of this government, which is guided by our principles and our values throughout all of this. In relation to the blockade, let me be clear, as I've been already in the last day or so, that we are focusing our efforts on opening in full the Strait of Hormuz because of the damage it's doing to economies around the world, including our own economy. That is why we've been working with other countries at various levels, and we'll bring them together in a summit later this week. And we, the UK, will not be joining the blockade that the President announced.
So will the Prime Minister take action, sanctions on Netanyahu, withdraw all permission for the US to use UK bases and UK airspaces to make clear that we will not be an accomplice to the rogue actions of Donald Trump, which endanger us all?
The US are using the basis to attack the Iranian capability to fire missiles into the region, including at our citizens and our nationals. You'll have seen the images going into hotels, going to the bases where our military are based. Is she seriously suggesting that we should reduce the protection for our people in the region and expose them to attacks they wouldn't otherwise be exposed to? That, to me, is a dereliction of duty, and I will never do that. Well, the single most important thing is to de-escalate and get the Strait of Hormuz open, and that's why we're working so hard with other countries in order to do so, because the impact that it's having on our economy, and undoubtedly is affected by how long the strait remains closed for, and that's why we have to focus on that.